Hey, this is BlindFox and welcome at my Ration review. Please support the channel, please subscribe and please go and donate on patreon.com. So for lunch, their suggestion is, let's just see if I can get a better, maybe not. Anyway, their suggestion is to do the noodles, the isotonic drink and the Provitas. But let's see what we are going to do. Another thing we're not going to do is we're not going to use the matches. So they suggest the noodles for lunch, the Provitas, there's 4 of them, and the isotonic drink. But this is what you've got for dinner: 300 grams of corned beef. Now the problem in South Africa, if you open this tin, sight that there is no lid. In summer it is really hot, and if you are out in and about, even in winter, I would really hesitate to eat meat. Let's say if I've opened it and then have to reuse it for another meal. So let's say this is 300 grams, as I said. So it's a very heavy product. Let's say you want to lighten your pack with that amount of grams. And it does take up quite a lot of space. What you could do is you could say, well, I'm leaving this for the evening meal, and remove it. Then this pulley beef you can either eat hot or cold. I think somebody might. So if you then, let's say, do your lunch and you do have cleaned some water for and boil it, and you don't want to have a lot of other stuff, you can eat a part of this meat cold, or you can eat all of this cold with the Provitas, which, I don't know, for me it is a nicer thing to do than eat the Provitas with the pasta. You can of course eat this at dinner where they are supposed, or where they say you should. But if you just want to purify a bit of water, or you, let's say, have purified water and let it cool for your isotonic drink, then you don't need a fire. So then you can do this cold, everything, and that will be a cool thing. So, being that this is your ration and you can organize this as you should, and the Provitas doesn't really fit for me. The only reason, if you want, you can leave it for lunch, is let's say you didn't eat your biltong. Then you could have done your Provitas, your isotonic drink and your noodles with the biltong on the Provitas. So you see, immediately you've got 1, 2, 3 different suggestions for your lunch. You can also do the soup here. Let's say do the where we've got the noodles, the soup, and the isotonic drink, and then add the soup with the noodles and have a noodle soup, if you want to do that. Although the noodles does have its own flavoring, and then just maybe keep the flavoring packet for something else, or use the flavoring packet as well. So you see, there is such a lot of a variety of things that you can do with this ration. And of course the chocolate and stuff also plays in here. You could do that as well. So you can see, you can really, because there's such a lot of small little components, you can mix it up so much. So I think this might be helping with ration fatigue. If you have to, for some reason, be a few days on these rations, you can shift stuff about so much. You can even have this for breakfast. Oats would just be a bit weird for lunch, but if you want this for breakfast, and move the oats to lunch or dinner, you can do that as well. Especially because it's a lot. This is 300 grams of meat, which, face it, is a lot of food. Especially because it's nice and fatty meat. So there's a lot of energy stored in here. I'm not sure what the energy stuff is. Can you see if there's a place to see? Let's see if we can figure that out. So per 100 gram there's 812 kilojoules. This is a 300 grams serving. So if you are on your own, it is 2,400 kilojoules. And I'll just put the kcals on here. It is what? This is something times 4 or divided by 4 point something. So this is around, I think, 300, 400, 500, 600 kcals. Let's just go and... So all of this is 582 point something kcals. So you can see this is a lot of calories for this 300 grams. They of course say a serving is 55 grams, so this is supposed to be turned into almost 6 servings. But if you're the only person out there and this is the only tin you have and you can't keep it, you will just either eat it with one meal, or maybe if it's really cold in the winter you could keep it overnight. But for me, if you've opened this and you don't want to get sick, eat it immediately. But anyway, so this is a lot of calories. I'm not going to read through all of the ingredients there because it is a lot of stuff. And now if you could read there, but this is the smallest I can zoom into, and I don't know if you could still read there, but anyway. So anyway, so I've decided to do the willy beef for lunch, and then the isotonic drink, and then the Provitas. Of course, if you forage and you can keep some of this, it's a good thing to do some of your forage as you want to make a stew or a soup or something. I don't know. And of course this fries up nicely as well. So we'll go and prepare everything and I will be back. And of course a good thing if you've got this tin and if you can get the bully beef out of there easily, you've got a little can which you could use for boiling water. You can see the fat there, literally down there as well. Just look at the fat, which you can then use of course when you fry this. But if you clean this tin nicely, you have a little water container. I'm not sure how much water this would take, but you at least have a little container if you didn't have anything. Either for a cup, which you will be has to be careful because this is a sharp surface, or for something to boil a little bit of water in. Not a lot of water. This is, I don't think this is even a cup. Maybe half a cup, I don't know. I might just check it out later, but anyway. Alright, so let's start with our isotonic drink. I've added a cup of water and it was too strong for me, so I added another cup, around half a liter. And I think this is game. It very much tastes like that. This is sort of a isotonic type drink. Very much power, in the realms of Powerade and Energy Aid and that, you get it in powder form. But still, it's not a sweet, which I like about this, and I think this is lemon. It doesn't have a very sweet taste. It's got a very tart taste to it, which is actually good if you are very thirsty. You might even want to add more water. If you just want a little bit of an orange taste here, you can add more water here. So this is our bully beef. So I've fried a bit of this. So sort of 2 slices there. You can see how easily I can actually get through this. You can see it's very, very soft. So let's start. You taste the intense salt. The nice thing about frying this is you lose some of the fat. I actually lost a little bit of the fat just to get the thing I fried it in a bit greasy. But you do taste a lot of salt there still. So let's taste this. Also the spoon goes through this easily. The cold one equally salty. But when you heat this up, you render some of the fat. So if you're not a very fat-liking person, or you want to do something else with the fat, just heat this up. In fact, the little fried pieces of this, some of the that sort of stick to your frying surface, almost taste like, I'm not sure what it's in English, it's kayings in Afrikaans. When you render fat, some of those little meat pieces that stays behind. So let's do the Provitas. This is just a crunchy cracker. It is not salted at all. It's just a wheat cracker. So let's taste some of this on this. Because the Provita isn't salted, it does help with the saltiness of this meat. Because this bully beef is quite salty. So the saltiness of this, of course, will help you with your dehydration and with your reprovisioning of salt and so forth. So let's taste it cold. Okay, both hot and cold, it tastes good on the Provita. Because this is there isn't really a structure to the meat, it's very soft. You get the Provita adds structure here that you really would need. This won't go well for me with the soup anyway. The hot bully beef tastes a bit more salty than the cold ones. So you might want to, if you're really not salty, but I don't know if you can put it in water if it will extract some of the salt. But as I said, if you want to make a stew with this and stuff you forage, you can also do that. As I said, this is a very versatile ration. I just don't think the stock cube will work well with this, but if you've got the bully beef, you don't need the stock cube, I think. So you get the fatty taste when it's cold, but your salt taste is a bit less. If it's hot, you can actually, I think, fry this to the more crispiness if you want to. If you have, I don't know how it will work on just on a griddle, of a grid on an open fire, how it would work, but you can prepare this in a variety of ways, which is an interesting thing to do, especially if you do foraging and stuff along the way. But just like this, it goes well with the Provitas cold. It also works with it hot, although you get a bit more salty taste in this meat when it is hot. This is not, of course, all the bully beef. I'm not going to eat a whole can by myself. That's a bit too much. But if you are out and about and doing stuff, you might want to eat the whole can. And there's, I think, enough Provitas you can do so. It's also good, or not good, but it's... I'm not really a fan of bully beef. But it's not bad. Let me put it this way. I will eat it if I have no other choice. But it's... It works well with the Provitas. You can eat it without the Provitas. You just don't have that crunchy component, which really helps improve the meat a lot. So this was my review, and I've got, alright, what did I think about this meal as I did the lunch? The isotonic drink is nice, it's a bit tart. As I said, I think it's game for the people who know game. It's a nice orange taste, and this can, you can stretch this maybe for more than half a liter. Bully beef is normal bully beef, a bit salty when it is, it tastes more salty when it's hot than it's cold. It tastes more fatty when it's cold than it's hot, but you do get that meaty taste. And of course this is not pork, this is beef or whatever other meats, which does not include pork. The Provitas is always nice, it's crunchy, it's not salty. You do get some roughage in there when you, or fiber when you eat it, and when it combines with the bully beef, it gives you a nice crunchy. I think it combines better than with the bully beef than the soup. It gives you a nice crunchy combination with the bully beef. And so that is what my lunch. It's quite a bit of calories in here, but it's not a very huge lunch in portion size. But because of the fat, in here you get quite a lot of calories. I of course did not use all of the fat that I got out of the tin. I got almost around a teaspoon, half a teaspoon maybe, of fat out of there. So you've got enough fat if you've got other stuff to, if you forage and got other stuff to fry, you've got enough fat to do that as well. That's maybe why they included it with the evening meal rather than the lunch, because you might have a little bit more things to fry at your evening meal. But as I said, this is your ration in the end of the day. You can mix and match this however you want to. You can even fry this up for breakfast. So, and depending on how cold it is and what, you might even want to stretch this over 1 or 2 or 3 meals if you are prepared to carry the meat, which I wouldn't really do because, well, it's very hot in summer here, so it's sort of a risk you take, but because this is corned meat, you might want to take the risk. I'm not well, it depends. So this was my little lunch, although it's a relatively easy meal, or it's quite, you can make it interesting if you've got enough stuff, if you can forage and get other stuff to eat with this. So thanks for watching. Please support the channel, please subscribe, please donate on patreon.com, and see you on my next ration review.